Hello and welcome to Homicide Hobbies. I'm Andy,
And I'm Claire.
and we're here to talk about some of the disturbing things that go on in the world, past and present. We feel like not knowing doesn't mean the crazy doesn't exist.
So we're going to scar you with the knowing.
Enjoy. No pressure, but if you do this case perfectly, it'll be super easy to edit.
Well, then I'm going to tell you this now. There are children in chunks of this. Okay.
Okay. Do your reading good. I got faith in you. So, what do you got for us today?
You mean where?
No.
Where are we going?
That's what you ask. You always try to control me. It's not how I say it. Go back and listen to any other case. I say, what do you got for us today?
Well, anyhow, today's first clue is the Mississippi River borders it.
Missouri.
You cheated and looked at my show notes.
No? Was that it?
Missouri is not the only state the Mississippi borders. How on earth, with the worst clue ever, could you guess where we're headed?
Well, I automatically ruled out Mississippi because it was the Mississippi River. So then,
I should have started with my other clue. It was the state is known for caves. It has thousands of them.
yeah, I probably would have gone with probably like a Colorado type direction.
And then my third clue was the big silver arches. Or, well, arch.
I would have gone with probably Nevada.
What?
Because I don't know where there's big silver arches.
Just one arch. I don't know why I made it plural.
I don't know, but I just pictured silver McDonald's arches. But I would have thought Nevada because they have they got the mini Statue of Liberty and all that stuff. So I would have just assumed it was a decoration that way.
Washington has the world's largest frying pan.
I don't know what to do with that.
They don't either, so they made it a tourist attraction.
Then they knew what to do with it.
Well, it was a little cheating because Andrea browsed, but
Liar.
it's the state we're in the most, but just like a lot of our cases where people are nomads, this happens to be one we'll be in for the majority. But anyway, there are some stories where the most unsettling part is not yeah, this isn't gonna go well. There are some stories where the most unsettling part is not what happened. It's how many chances there were to stop before it got worse. Because sometimes when you look back at a case, you can see the warning signs lining up almost like stepping stones, one after the other, clear enough that in hindsight it feels impossible that the outcome wasn't prevented. And yet, it wasn't. This is one of those stories. This story begins with a man who did not need to look especially threatening in order to be dangerous. He did not need to stand out. He did not need to force his way into people's lives in some dramatic, obvious way. He was able to move in quietly. He worked jobs that gave him access to people. He used different names. He passed through homes and neighborhoods without immediately drawing the kind of attention that would have stopped him. And that kind of danger is often the hardest to see in time.
That means he's not ugly, and he's also not super attractive, because he doesn't stand out.
Because when people imagine someone truly frightening, they usually picture someone obvious, someone visibly unstable, someone who sets off every alarm as soon as they walk in the room.
Someone ugly. Seriously, if you picture a bad guy, you don't picture someone attractive, or even just a plain looking feller. You picture somebody that's got like a bug eye and like a gangly tooth and like a scar down there. You know what I mean? You
really
picture
is
something obnoxious.
Right. Something scary, but
Yeah.
sometimes the regular can be the scarier. But today's piece of shit is Vernon Brown. He was born October 1st, 1953 in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Hey, you didn't need to say anything else. The second you said he was from Indiana.
Yeah, well, he was the oldest of 5 children. His mother was only 15 when she had him, and even the identity of his father was never clearly established. There were ugly rumors surrounding his family history reporting that it may have been, like, there were accusations it could have been the grandfather.
Wait.
Was his dad?
Her?
His mother?
Oh.
Accusations, but regardless, whatever sordid family nonsense that he came from, some sort of level of incest.
Hmm.
There are also reports that his childhood is marked with physical abuse as well as sexual abuse and the instability you would think from a teenage mother. There were also claims that he suffered a head injury when he was young and may have experienced memory lapses afterwards. As a child, he was described as aloof, but also as someone who would sometimes protect his younger siblings or friends when they were in trouble. And cases like this can be uncomfortable to talk about, naturally, with incest and children related crimes. But people often want a simple explanation why somebody turned bad.
The incest.
Right, and they want they want that one clean line from terrible childhood to terrible adulthood, or they want to say that because someone suffered early in life, everything after that somehow makes sense. But it doesn't work that way. A hard childhood can be part of the story without becoming the excuse. A person can experience cruelty and kindness and still decide to make cruel choices of their own. And I'm telling you now, none of his background excuses the devastation he's going to leave behind.
Has there ever been a case that we're like, you know what? All these people that this person went through, and
I feel like probably.
not that we've done.
Well, I don't have the best memory, and we've done a lot. They've all kind of shoved into like, we've done 4 cases.
I need to find like a vigilante case where it's the person goes back and murders only the people that abused them as a child, but didn't harm anyone else. Then that would explain it all
Well,
away, and I'd be like, you know what? Good for them.
one that was popping in my head just now was the feller whose wife cheated on him and got pregnant by his best friend, and he chopped off his head.
Yeah, but that's not, no. I'm talking their childhood, where the
Nah.
childhood excuses what they do later in life. Unless you find one where it's like they were abused as a child and only attack the people that abused them.
I don't know. You can go back and listen to all of them. Good luck. Anyway, so by the time Vernon is 16, he
Not
drops out of
gonna.
high school. He drops out of high school. By the time he's 18, he tries to enlist in the army, but for one reason or another, they're like, no thank you. So he doesn't join the army. So instead, he takes a turn, and in that roughly same chunk of his life, in 1973, he's convicted of sexually assaulting a 12-year-old girl.
Oh, I need a picture of him.
It's in the email.
Because right now I'm picturing the guy from Goonies.
No. So picture like Steve Harvey. I'm pretty sure this feller's bald. Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's normal looking.
Right. He actually looks like he'd be a nice man.
Yeah. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I was seriously picturing somebody that looked like the fella in Goonies.
No. Yeah. He looks like a normal human being.
All right. So he's a piece of shit,
Yeah. 20 years old, sexually assaults a 12-year-old.
deserves to stay locked up. But of course, that's not the way it'll work.
Well, Indiana was like, we'll give you 5 years.
Oh.
You only have to serve 4.
Oh.
So I don't know how regular that was happening in Indiana, but that conviction should have been a huge warning. Not the kind you only understand later, not the kind that seems minor until more happens. It was a child victim, a violent offense, and a conviction. The fuck, Indiana. But after serving his time, Vernon was able to move on. He drifted around the country, living in 23 states during the 70s.
Oh.
Yeah, working odd jobs. He does wind back up in Indiana and at some point married a homeless woman with her 2 sons.
How does that work?
I have no earthly idea, but I was just like, he was shopping. Which brings us to August 25th, 1980. Vernon was living in Indianapolis when 9-year-old Kimberly Campbell was found raped and strangled in a vacant house that his grandmother owned.
Oh.
There wasn't evidence to tie Vernon to that scene, even though people had last seen Kimberly with Vernon the day before. But with no evidence, the case just goes cold and Vernon goes on his merry way. Now seems like a good time to leave town.
What about his wife?
She's homeless.
Yeah, but like, does she suspect him? Or, I mean, she's got
Hey.
2 kids, so you would think she'd be, I don't
Mm,
know. I wouldn't have married him to begin with because somebody that's been convicted of.
well, she Probably didn't have the internet to do background investigation. She
And
just
it's
saw a
just,
nice feller who paid her some attention while she's homeless. Not that it seemed like he had his shit together, but anyway, he decides to leave town, goes around schlepping around again, leaving behind in his wake a warrant that would be issued on 6 charges of child molestation in Indiana.
for who?
For Vernon.
No, like on who? The that
Children.
other other children, a child, like the little girl that was murdered.
Just know when he leaves Indiana, he's got a warrant for his arrest with 6 charges of child molestation. That is the least of our problems when we get to the end of this case.
And also, just to clarify, he did not take his homeless wife and her 2 kids with him. He just went on the lam on his own.
He sure did. He said, "Peace."
All right.
Eventually, he makes his way to St. Louis, Missouri. To support himself, he worked as a maintenance man under an alias of Tommy Turner in an area that was struggling with crime, prostitution, and drug use. Around that same time, Vernon is regularly using the drugs, particularly PCP. He manages to find himself a single mother, another one, 31-year-old Kathy Moore, and moves in with her and her 3 sons who are 11, 9, and 7. Eventually, they get hitched.
How?
He's a different feller.
All right.
Then on March 7th, 1985, police in St. Louis are called to an apartment on Washington Boulevard. Inside, they find 19-year-old Sonetta Ford found in her basement apartment. She had been strangled to death with an electrical cord and stabbed several times in the chest and neck. Beyond that, there wasn't much else to go on. She'd been killed in her house, so detectives were like, nothing looks like anything was broken into. So 2 possibilities at once: either someone close to her had gotten access, or someone who belonged in and around the building had used that access to gain access to her. So they start where detectives usually start: who had last seen her, who was around the apartment, who had reason to be inside the apartment without attracting much attention.
The maintenance feller.
As they interviewed people connected to Sonetta, one detail started to stand out. Her roommate told police Sonetta had been uneasy about the maintenance man working around the building. The man tenants knew him by was Tommy Turner. Now, mind you, somebody being uncomfortable around somebody else doesn't make you a killer, but it does put him on the police suspect list, or somebody interest. A building maintenance man would have a reason to be there. He would not look out of place.
He'd have a key.
He would move through common areas without drawing suspicion, so detectives brought him in for questioning. Tommy Turner told police that on the night Sonetta was killed, he had seen another man leaving the area, a Cuban man, according to him.
All right.
Detectives did not find that story convincing, and up till that point, no one has mentioned a strange man around the area, so they give him a polygraph. He fails it. That just raises the temperature of the case, right?
The temperature of the case?
It's getting hot instead of cold. A cold case, Andrea.
All right. That was just an interesting way to put it.
It raises the temperature. Yes, he's got a fever now.
It's getting hot in here.
Oh. Now, detectives had a... Anywho, so it raises the temperature. Detectives have their victim...
What?
You threw me off with your wordings. So now detectives have a victim who had reportedly been afraid of this man, and they had a statement from him that didn't sit right. He failed that interview, or failed that polygraph. So they're like, it's time to talk to his wife. And that interview should have changed everything. Because when they start talking to his wife, she tells police that her husband confessed to killing Sonetta.
Oh.
More importantly, she provides details. She said that he had told her, and those were details that were not made public. So they're like, oh shit. So they arrest Tommy. Seems pretty great, right? They have their suspect.
Mm-hmm.
He failed the polygraph. They have a wife saying he confessed and giving details that match the crime.
Mm-hmm.
But the case is going to hit a wall. At this particular time, Missouri law did not allow one spouse to testify against the other in court, even if the spouse wanted to.
Oh.
And they didn't have evidence to link him to the case beyond that.
Huh.
The charges against Tommy are dropped.
I hope they protect the wife.
Dude, I thought the same thing. I was like, I would have to skedaddle. I was like, did they know that he knew? Or like,
Did he know?
did
Yeah.
he know that they knew that she knew that they had told her, you know?
Yeah, that was a lot of he said, she said, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was he aware of that? Because,
Because my eyeballs got real big at that one. I was like, oh, if I were her, I'd be running for the hills.
yeah.
But like, oh shit. But when Tommy's released, Kathy gives him the boot and files for divorce.
She's a brave lady.
I feel like she's got to have some firearms and had been real nervous.
Or
But
at least they're the same size.
yeah, well, I have no idea. The only thing I could figure is you've got to live in some level of fear that since he's a nomad, just because he skedaddles on out doesn't mean he won't make his way back.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean by like maybe they're the same height, same build, and she's got some weapons.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be harder to overpower her because, as we've seen, the fellers that tend to favor the children and young ladies, they like to be able to overpower their victims.
Mm-hmm. Well, that case is going to go cold.
Kinda. They know who did it.
Yeah. It's got to be real shitty to just be like, we've got nothing, but we know he did it.
I don't know how you can't put a tail on him forever.
Because he's all over everywhere.
Yeah, call the FBI, call the CIA, call them all.
The DEA, DSS, all the acronyms. The PTA!
If only you could have said that without laughing.
Because the children are not safe.
Yeah, seriously,
neighborhood
turn the moms
watch.
on these fellers. Like all the pedophiles, they'll get them.
Well, more than a year is going to pass. Police never putting together that Tommy Turner is Vernon Brown.
Is it still the 70s?
And Vernon,
Okay.
the 80s. But Vernon manages to find himself another single mother and moves in with her and her 2 boys.
Is he molesting the children, or is it just that there's so many single mothers? Because I feel like in the 80s, there weren't a lot of single parents like there are nowadays.
I feel like, well, I have no statistical analysis on this one, but I feel like there were single moms. They just were ignored, which is why their lives were super hard because it was like you shouldn't associate with the unmarried mother of those children, you know?
I guess. He seems to be able to find them real easy.
Well, he likes to live where there's areas of prostitution, and since that wasn't like a modern times creation, I'm going to say there were babies and there were single moms and they were just hidden in the shadows.
All right.
Where now, if you're a teen mom, you get to be on a TV show. Times have changed.
Sure have.
Anyway, that brings us to October 1986, when Vernon sees 9-year-old Janet Perkins walking her normal path on her way from you jinxed me with the, if you record perfect enough, this will be super easy. I don't know why you sound like Mickey Mouse, but so in October of 1986, Vernon sees 9-year-old Janet Perkins walking her normal path on her way home from school. When he calls her over to come on in, mind you, she's a schoolmate of the kids that he lives with, so it's just, for all she knows, the dad to the kids she knows. So once in the house, Vernon tells those boys to get their asses upstairs and then locks them in their rooms.
And she didn't leave?
I feel like she had to have been darty-eyed, but like, it's a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty ballsy on his part. Like, he's going to be the last one seen with her.
We figure he's been doing this since he was 16.
Yeah, that's true.
So he lures Janet down into the basement, binds her hands with a coat hanger before raping her.
Gross.
Then he strangles her with a rope before wrapping her tiny little body in trash bags and throwing her in the dumpster behind his house.
And he's not at all concerned about the kids ratting him out? Or is he going to go kill the kids? Oh, he better not go kill the kids.
I like that if I just leave you alone, you just run on a rabbit hole on your own. But the next day, Janet's body is found. Now, detectives had a new scene and a much tighter window. A child was walking home. She vanishes in the neighborhood. Her body's found close by. That meant police needed to identify the last person who saw her alive in the last place she had been seen entering. So they chat around the neighborhood, door to door, house to house. Who had last seen Janet? Where had she gone? Who had been outside that afternoon? During that canvass, a witness comes forward and tells police they saw Janet enter the house on Enright Avenue, and the man associated with that house was Vernon Brown. So detectives go to talk to Vernon. And this case starts to move much faster because when they start questioning Vernon, he admits to killing Janet. I think he
Oh,
realized after the fact that he fucked up because this was not one of his tidy ones. I think she wandered by and he was real excited, and whatever plans he usually made went out the window.
disgusting.
He claimed that he was sitting on the front porch smoking cigarettes laced with PCP and blacked out during her killing. So I believe some of that.
I don't believe any of it.
Well, I believe that he was probably doing drugs and then once he sobered up was like, ooh.
Mm.
I don't believe he blacked out.
What does PCP do?
Hmm.
We've never done a case with PCP that I can remember. It's usually meth. I don't know anything about PCP.
Loading. I think ChatGPT hates me now.
It's a hallucinogenic.
Oh my god. My ChatGPT said primary care provider. No.
Mm.
PCP mainly blocks brain receptors involved in normal thinking that leads to feeling detached from your body or like out of body experiences, disoriented reality, such as hallucinations and paranoia, reduced pain awareness. I knew that one because people on PCP really battle the police. Confusion and disorientation. Lower doses can give you the feeling of euphoria or feeling floaty, while also slurring your speech and giving you poor coordination. Higher doses, you can have severe agitation or aggression, delusions and paranoia, unpredictable behavior.
Mine just gave me a bunch of articles to check into. The first one being
Rehab.
yeah. And I said, my response was, no, just give me the gist. And it said, fine. Someone feels detached but volatile. I was, all right, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Dangerous effects are high blood pressure and high heart rate, overheating, seizures, and coma. And naturally, it's risky because people can become very unpredictable or violent.
Lower doses, people might just appear drunk, slurring their words and stumbling around.
I done told you slurred speech with low doses, making people feel floaty or having euphoria.
But it can also make them have a zombie-like blank stare.
Hmm. I think it's a little scary. They may not feel pain. The juggernaut.
Do you remember that show, Rescue 911? I think on that one,
I
there
didn't know it
was,
became a core memory for you.
there's a couple episodes of that became core memories for me. But one of them, I think somebody was high on PCP and jumped off the roof of a building, broke his ankle, but still got up to run from the police. And I was just like, whoa. Mainly because I was in elementary school and that seemed horrifying.
Yeah. I remember one where they like tased this feller and he was still standing. Like it was as if they just like flicked the wires at him. And I can tell you as a police officer, I'd have been doing like, not that I am, but I'm saying if I were, but if I tased somebody and they just stood there unfazed and just blinked at me, I think that'd be the time I shit my leggings.
Good to know that day is figured out for you.
Yeah, but person have to be in law enforcement, so
Well, not that it matters, but the other 911 case that stuck with me, these boys were playing in their backyard with a rope and a tree, tying like a knot into the rope and putting their foot in it to swing. And the one little boy, his foot slipped and it caught around his neck and the rope tightened. He, I think
hold up. How did it go from his foot being in it to his neck?
I don't know. Again, I was in elementary school when I saw this and it scarred me for life. And uh, he hung himself, and then the other kids couldn't figure out how to get him down. And none of those kids were smart enough to lift the boy. So he was out there dangling from the tree, being
Andrew,
strangled to death.
I'm gonna reference when your boy was trying. You know what I'm talking about.
I don't. When my boy
when
what?
when I was telling you about the one elementary schooler that tried to kill himself, and we were discussing
Oh,
how, and then you said your son was all like put his hands around his throat and was like this.
yeah. Yeah.
That thought process, you're expecting them to lift said small child.
I was thinking about when I was talking to my small boy about if somebody ever tried to kidnap him And he said he'd just demand they release him from that vehicle right now.
Before punching them in the
And if they
face.
didn't, he was going to punch them in their eyeball.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, that took a hard left off your case. Let's get back to it.
It sure did. Yeah.
So he says he was high.
Mm-hmm. And blacked out during the killing, which I thought was ironic because that means he didn't black out when he was raping her or luring her down the stairs. And as police dug further, they also discover that Vernon was wanted in Indiana, where he'd been charged with robbery also and 6 counts of child molestation involving a 7-year-old girl and an 11-year-old boy.
Ugh.
At that point, detectives were no longer looking at a single child murderer in isolation. Now they had a man who had confessed to killing a 9-year-old girl, and they were learning that he was already wanted in another state involving children. That changes everything, because once investigators realize a suspect may have a larger history involving vulnerable victims, they stop looking at just the one crime in front of them and start moving backwards. Who is this man? Where has he lived? Who has he been around? Has his name come up before? So, as detectives start pulling apart Vernon Brown's history, they find something else troubling inside one of the houses he lived in previously. When Vernon had been living with Kathy Brown, or Kathy Moore, well, I guess Brown because they eventually get married, and her 3 sons, when Sonetta was murdered, because his name's, once they figure,
They connect him to Tom.
man, I fucked this shit out. Yeah. They connect that he is
Tommy.
Tommy.
Yeah.
And then when they start unraveling that his name was attached to Sonetta's case and that he was living with Kathy and her 3 sons, they find out from that he was molesting those boys pretty much from the day he was living with them,
Called it.
forcing them to perform oral and anal sex.
Oh,
And I'm just going to call it that every kid he's probably ever been around has been molested.
that's so sad.
So,
Shame on those mothers.
well, I was like horrified because for Kathy's sons, they were 7, 9, and 11. How can you molest all 3? And I guess maybe it's just the shame and embarrassment for the older one. Or it's just like, I don't know, not having anybody to turn to or believe you. But it's just like, I don't understand how the moms can't be like, something's not right. Unless they're just so used to not getting any sort of attention that they can't think that could be something that's happening. I don't know.
It's disgusting.
And naturally, if you were thinking about it, the house where Janet was killed already had children in the home who were also being harmed.
Mm-hmm.
And detectives were now dealing with a suspect who is not just tied to one child victim, but several in so many ways, and this investigation starts widening faster than anyone could have anticipated. After Vernon's arrest and Janet's case was announced, the city reacts strongly. There was a public outcry, support across Missouri, and even a march organized in response to the violence that he brought. At the same time, detectives and federal investigators started comparing Vernon to all the other violent cases that they had involving children. The FBI submitted a report into VICAP, or the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, to see whether he could be linked to additional crimes. As investigators dug further, they find that Vernon was charged in the rape/murder of 9-year-old Kimberly Campbell, whose body had been found in that vacant house of his grandmother's.
I said to call the FBI in.
Well, they should have listened to you early on and they would have had this case from the beginning. He was also looked at in other murders, including the case of a St. Louis Jane Doe, which I think is super sad. An unidentified little girl was found murdered in 1983. How the fuck do you have an unidentified little girl? Who's missing a small child?
Yeah, that's sad.
Now, at this point, detectives are building a much larger case, not just what happened to Janet Perkins, but who is Vernon Brown and where else has he appeared? And like I told you...
Who's Vernon Brown? He's a piece of shit.
Yeah, well, and I don't even think, even when they're done with this, there's no way they got everything because he lived in 23 states just in the 70s. There's so many people who don't get justice, it's not even funny, but it's just like, what the fuck? And I wouldn't be surprised if he had other aliases that it's not like he's just going to be like, oh no, I was also Charlie Brown. So once they start locking in his timelines and where he was during all the things, that's when it kind of kicks off with Sinetta's case. So that case that kind of fizzled out comes to life, and now detectives can see that the man who had scared poor Sinetta, failed a polygraph, and confessed to his wife, all being the same man who admitted to killing Janet Perkins. And once they know that, Sinetta's case comes roaring back to life. So first, prosecutors move forward with Janet Perkins' case, and her trial begins in October 1988. By the time that trial started, detectives had already built the time frame of the day she disappeared and the moments inside the house. Vernon had his tape recorded statement, which was played for the jury, and then the boys that heard him, like when he told the boys to go upstairs, they would also testify, but they would testify that they heard Janet screaming through the vent.
Oh,
And I can't even imagine hearing testimony from little boys that were afraid of a man that was also molesting them and that they heard their schoolmate screaming.
that's so sad.
Right. Meanwhile, Vernon claimed was still claiming that he blacked out during Janet's killing, saying he was confused, it was an accident, he lost control. But the events leading up to Janet's death show sequence and direction. He called her over, he brought her inside, he sent the boys away, he locked them in their room, he isolated her. That's not random. That wasn't an accident. That was decision after decision. Unfortunately, the jury didn't believe him, and after 2 hours of deliberation, they found his ass guilty of first-degree murder.
That was a long deliberation.
A whopping 2 hours. They didn't even get lunch. A few days later, they recommended the death penalty, and the court imposed it.
Right on.
That was the first conviction. Then the prosecution turned back to Sonetta Ford's case. Now that Vernon had already been convicted in Janet Perkins' murder and more of his history had come into focus, the Ford case moved forward. At trial, Vernon admitted to killing Sonetta, but he tried to frame the encounter as being that she attacked him first. And jurors are going to be like, no.
Did she attack him because she wanted him to get off
Because,
of her?
or she attacked him because he barged into her apartment.
Yeah, like, all right, feller.
Mm-hmm. Somebody she was already afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
But jurors are like, eye roll. He's convicted of her murder as well. Now, during that penalty phase, one of Vernon's stepsons will testify. You know, one of the ones that was also molested.
Mm-hmm. One of the many.
Mm-hmm. And prosecutors argued that Vernon was a danger to society, calling him a destroyer of children.
Well, no fucking shit.
The jury recommended a second death sentence. So while all of that is happening, they continue to connect Vernon with other murders. He was initially suspected in a 1985 rape slaying of 15-year-old Tracy Poindexter, but in 2001, DNA evidence identified another man. So just in the event you were wondering, they were making sure they weren't just piling every unsolved crime onto Vernon. So they were actually checking.
Well, it sounds like he's owning up to it. He's just
Yeah,
making excuses to try to justify his disgusting behavior.
yeah. But even though they were doing all that fact checking and sorting through things, not every question around Vernon was being answered. He would never be prosecuted for Kimberly Campbell's murder, but he would remain a suspect in the St. Louis Jane Doe case. Both of those cases stayed officially unsolved. I'm kind of curious if they just never continued prosecuting because he's already got two separate cases where he's found guilty and has the death penalty. So I feel like, not to say it would be wasted effort, but we've seen plenty other, they could be trying to catch other people. This feller's in there for the long haul. He's not getting out, you know?
But you would also assume that they'd want to solve those cases because just like the 15-year-old you just talked about,
Yeah.
there's a chance that there's somebody else out there doing the shit.
Well, they
So,
do, for 15-year-old Tracy, that they do identify another man. It's Sterling Riggs. He was the killer, so that I just didn't want to rabbit hole down another segue because you figure this fella turned into two men.
right. Well, no, I was just saying you would think that they would want to pursue
Mm-hmm.
all the things involving him. And it sucks for the kids that, like you said, I don't understand how there's an unidentified child.
Dude, I have no idea. And then
Unless her mom was killed.
I don't know. But the Jane Doe case remains officially unsolved. But then, as we've seen plenty times before, the legal process stretches on. While Vernon sits on death row, filing appeal after appeal. In 2003, one of his death sentences, the one from Sonetta Ford's case, was overturned.
What?
The judge ruled that the trial court had improperly blocked the defense from presenting a letter from Vernon's brother that might have influenced sentencing. But the death sentence in Janet Perkins' case was still intact, so Vernon remained under his death sentence.
What the hell letter could his brother have written?
Dude, that's what I was like. I would like to read that, because how would that have swayed anything?
If I was on a jury and this feller is admitting to raping and murdering the child, there is not anything his family could say that would make me go, you know what? Perhaps we should let him breathe another breath of air in this world and let him live. No.
No.
Sorry about your bad luck, feller. You're a piece of shit. You had a bad upbringing, but you're still a piece of shit. You deserve to die.
Well, I would think
Bye-bye.
after molesting that many children, it should be a death sentence anyway.
You would think.
But I think, I don't know, I've pictured the letter being like, no, he's just a pedophile. He didn't mean to kill her. He just wanted to rape her. It should be a life sentence. Is the only thing I figured that they could say, because he does like to molest all the children, and you figure all the ones he's lived with, he's molested but hasn't murdered.
He's also a drug addict,
Mhm.
so I'm sure there was.
Yeah, that it was the drugs.
He's great when he's not high.
Yeah, or stalking children. But again, I think he should have gotten the death penalty just on molestation stuff. So,
I agree.
but he's still going to be under the other death penalty. But he'll keep appealing after appealing after appealing, each one failing, thankfully. The Supreme Court opts out, and the governor also does the whole, yeah, no, this is justified, death penalty, got it, check. And on May 18th, 2005, Vernon Brown is executed by lethal injection.
Good.
But even on the day of his execution, detectives were still trying to answer one more question. Before Brown was put to death, St. Louis detective Tom Carroll tried one last time to get him to confess to who Jane Doe was and that he killed her. Now, Vernon had just finished watching the movie Platoon when Detective Carroll approached him and tried to persuade him to say something that might bring closure. Vernon refused. When he appealed to Vernon, trying to, just give the girl's family closure, Vernon literally said he didn't care about the family.
Oh.
So even at the very end, one of the city's biggest questions stayed unanswered. Vernon was then taken to the execution chamber. His last meal was shrimp, salad, and cake.
Ugh.
His final words were, "You'll see me again. To all my friends, don't think of me as being gone, but there with you. And to Jazz, who has my heart and love. Peace, love, Vernon Brown." And I picture him doing that, thing on your chest. Peace. I don't know that he did, but who says peace, love, and then their name?
He has friends?
I can't imagine there's many, and they might be hallucinations.
Or there are other pedophiles. And he has a love?
Well, those sick, twisted freaks that like to write to prisoners.
I hope that's what that is. All right.
Yeah.
I'm glad he was executed.
Me too, because I was a little worried.
That case is disturbing.
It is disturbing. On so many levels, because, like you put it, when you start hearing it, your brain goes to some mutated version of a person that would stick out like a sore thumb, and it's not. And he was so easily to manipulate people that he moved in with several people with children and was diddling them.
Yeah, he's a completely normal looking feller. It's scary.
Which is why people need to trust their gut and their children. Although part of me also pictured it kind of like when you have older kids and you're a single mom, maybe none of them ever like the boyfriends. So when you find a boyfriend that is really bad, you don't know to trust the children because they're always complaining. Or maybe you're always bringing home child molesters. I don't know.
I have no opinion on this one.
Well, it's just scary to me how easily people can be manipulated. But I guess desperation does things to your brain, huh?
It's disturbing. Those poor kids.
It does make me curious when he was doing it. It had to have been a case of she's at work, and since he's a handyman, that, I don't know. I other than telling people out there, if you meet a feller and he's more than willing to watch your kids for you while you go do whatever, be cautious.
Well, not to rope all these women in, but you kept mentioning the prostitution and stuff. Were they nightlife workers, or and he was home at night with the kids, or there's so many different variables that it's like,
Well, you figure for Janet that he was home when they were coming back from school, so mom wasn't home then.
yeah,
And I don't blame the boys in that case that if you hear your schoolmate screaming and then the next day she's missing, I'd be a little scared of that feller.
oh, for sure.
Especially if he's already fucking me in the ass.
Yeah, I was just about to say, and he's already hurting them, so and it also leaves you to wonder what were the women like? Were they great mothers, or were they these kids are a nuisance and out of sight, out of mind? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different
Yeah.
unanswerable
I
questions.
feel like there could be drugs involved on the mother's behalfs too. Because you figure there's been cases we've done where adults were in the house while kids were being molested. So it's also possible that she's home and maybe he's the one pushing drugs and she's just in this like PCP catatonic state.
It's really sad.
Drugs are bad.
So is molesting children.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's not detract from that main point. I've assumed everybody knew that as well. Anybody
Apparently not.
who's dabbling in the drug use, you could become a child molester. If that's not a that's a better drug campaign than anything.
Well, it sounded like he was into diddling the children before the drug use, so
Yeah,
drugs and diddling children, both bad.
should be an automatic death penalty.
What's the new
Kind of
law?
like when you commit a crime with a gun, it's already an escalator.
Yeah.
If you're a child molester and do drugs, it's a death penalty. We need to be better about weeding people out. I don't know why you're quiet.
I was
Oh, I
Googling.
was gonna say, usually you side real well with the kill all the child molesters.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Your silence was weird.
So I was looking up because there's like the new laws in Alabama in October 2026.
What? That hasn't happened yet.
It takes effect as of October 1st, 2026. There's a new law that first degree rape, sodomy, and sexual torture of a child under 12 a capital offense. And then Florida, they made a law in May of 2023 allowing the death penalty for the sexual battery of a child under 12. Tennessee jumped on that bandwagon, Idaho, Oklahoma, Arkansas. I mean, it's about freaking time. Why aren't there more states on this list?
It should be all of them unanimously.
It really should.
I didn't even know there were sanctuary states for pedophiles.
Unfortunately, it's for most of them. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this list.
I would think that would be the easiest thing for everybody to agree on. Unless you hit your nail in the head with that one of unless they're pedophiles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Epstein files all over again.
Oh, Idaho in 2025, they allow the death penalty for aggravated lewd conduct with a minor under 12. Oklahoma in 2025, legislation was passed making the rape of a child under 14 a death eligible offense. Right on. Arkansas, they jumped on that bandwagon where death penalty becomes an option. Good. I don't know why it took so long for this to become a law.
Mm.
There shouldn't be second chances. Oh, shit. Other federal proposals. Representative Luna introduced the Holding Child Predators Accountable Act to impose the death penalty for child pornography and trafficking offenses. Yeah, weed them all out. Like, just collect them all and just line them up in front of the firing squad. Just be done with it.
Oh, that seems a little bit messy.
Just dig a big pit, throw them in it.
Oh, all right.
A mass grave, because unfortunately, the number of pedophiles that are out there is disturbing.
Yes. And on that note, people can go on, what is it? That dog site, Watchdog?
I don't know. I know the state police for Virginia has all the.
Yeah, you can also download your county app. And since they have to be registered, you can look it up within your county too.
But as we've seen, a lot of these freak shows that like
Move.
to hurt people, they don't keep up with their addresses. And as we've also seen, there are so many that a lot of the people that are supposed to be making sure these fellers are and women and pieces of shit are following what they're supposed to be doing slip through the cracks. And yeah, so can't even trust that. Just don't trust people with your
I
children.
knew this story was going to get you riled up.
I don't like you or this piece of shit.
I still don't even believe he only had one alias.
No.
23 states? Like, I'm sure he diddled one in every state like people collect spoons.
Ew.
I'm just saying.
I agree though, because the 70s, it was all too easy to just erase yourself and start over.
Well, and he started at 16. Well, no, 16 he dropped out. 20 was when he raped a 12-year-old. So, and you know what? Regardless, I don't know what the brother's letter had said, but that's where I say nothing in his history gives him the ability or the right to have a pass on anything he did.
No.
I don't care if he never killed anyone at all and was just molesting people because he was molested. That's bullshit.
It's disgusting. There's absolutely nothing
Right.
his brother could have said. Unless his brother said, it wasn't him, it was me.
Yeah. You know what? You're onto something with that. Barring that being in his letter, there's nothing else that could have been in there that would have swayed my decision on the death penalty.
Yeah.
But that's all I've got.
Thanks for I don't thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed this case. I sure didn't. But it's our last one of season 4. Woohoo!
Until season 5.
And we're going to take a mini break. When do you want to release season 5?
When it's ready.
How's July 9th sound?
Until July 9th. Or we could come back with a blast on 4th of July.
4th of July. I was just looking at that. It's 4th of July is a Saturday.
Yeah.
So tune in for the start of season 5 on July 9th, 2026.
Did you just
Till then.
Did you just date yourself with tune in?
No.
You know, with the bunny ears, you have to tune the bunny ears. So tuning in. Tune in.
No.
Fine. July 9th.
Woo!
Take it or leave it.
Take it. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Homicide Hobbies. If we made you laugh, if we made you cry, or if we mindfucked you for the day, then we thank you for listening. Please write a review on whatever you're listening to us on. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers. We're freaking awesome. And join us next week for another episode of Homicide Hobbies. I'm Andy.
And I'm Claire.
That's all we've got.